The Big 5-0. Thank you, everyone, downloading, listening to the Retro Gamers. Larry here.
And Anthony here.
We hit the Big 5-0, and we hit it early.
Oh, man, we're old.
And we hit it hard, too. Holy cow. 50 episodes in, and this is where we're at.
You know, it feels like a little bit longer to me. It feels like at least 52.
Maybe 52 episodes. You know, sometimes every once in a while you got a couple of those blackout periods.
Yeah, definitely. I remember a special or two, but regardless of that.
50 episodes that are canon.
50 canon episodes. Okay,
go.
So, wow, you know, if we were like if we were an actual video game, like we would be we'd have the most sequels ever.
Oh, forget about it. We'd be Street Fighter 2.
Video game franchise. Yeah, more or less. Although they actually, you know what? They may have us beat.
Oh, I'm sure. Most likely. So, but yeah, no, we're here. We're at 50 episodes and 50 official episodes. It took a little while to get here. You know, it was funny. I was looking at the lineup, and we started literally, we started in 2014.
Wow. Okay, so that's a long time ago.
Yeah, albeit 3 episodes in 2014, but 2014 nevertheless.
Yes, I was actually living in New York at the time.
You were.
I was. We must working for a little company called WWE.
There you go. That was the best time of my life.
It definitely was the best time of your life.
Yeah, so we had 3 episodes in 2014. Then we I guess we took a hiatus for about a year and a half.
Yes, we did.
And then started
because one of us thought it was a great idea to move back to Los Angeles and start a new job and rebuild his life.
Why not?
That took up a little time.
There you go. No problem with that, right?
About a year's worth.
Year and a half, I guess. Then we started up again in 2016, the summer of 2016, and then really since, which would be next week, July 18th is really when we started doing this like legit weekly. Couple of off weeks every now and again, which we're entitled to.
Are we?
We better be. We're not getting paid for this.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Hey, wait, you know what? Don't tell anybody that because that could change.
One day. No, but
hello, advertisers. We love you.
Yes. Pretty soon.
Coming soon with commercials.
There you go. Yeah, that's what everyone wants to hear.
Yep.
But it's been a wild. It's been a wild 50 weeks and 50 episodes, I should say. But it's been real, and we we were talking about it right before we started. Kind of like half the games that we own we may not have now unless it was for this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's amazing how we've both kind of become retro shopaholics, and it's all in due respect to this podcast, which I'm very happy to say that we've been doing because. We've been playing video games for pretty much our entire lives,
essentially.
It's just I feel like it's just a natural thing for both of us to kind of just keep doing, and this podcast has definitely enriched my collection.
Yeah,
it has not enriched my pocket at all. but I couldn't be happier with all the with actually all the retro games I have purchased specifically over the past year.
Honestly, right?
I honestly, once I moved back, and to be honest, once I moved back to LA, I never expected us to pick this up again because I was like, okay, now I'm going to be 3,000 miles away. This was a cute little thing we did like 3 or 4 times, but I guess that's the end of it. And lo and behold, we are actually in better shape than I thought we would be.
We're doing fantastic. As soon as the program I used to record finally incorporated Skype, that's when the world changed.
The world did change. So now we've lasted longer than probably the Virtual Boy did in its existence.
Probably.
Happy 50th!
And because of us, can you imagine if the resurgence of the Virtual Boy happened because of us? Because of all the clout, because of you, not even because of me. I've always backed it. But if you're the single-handed reason why the Virtual Boy gets re-released.
That's why I have a nice little cyanide pill handy on my desk. Because if that ever happens, that thing's going right in my mouth.
You gotta replace a tooth. It's gotta be like a fake tooth.
Yeah, fake tooth. My cyanide pill. Trust me, I'm planned for the Virtual Boy resurgence.
I mean, let's take a look. I have we have a mini Famicom that may not have happened, even with your trips to Japan. I have a...
That wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, no, honestly. Because we probably would have been like, we'll get the NES Classic. Who cares about the thing?
Correct.
I have a Famicom knockoff, but a Famicom nevertheless. You have a legit one.
I have a legit Famicom.
I definitely...
And Super Famicom.
Oh, that's true. Super Famicom. I'm patiently waiting for like Polymega, that retro gaming system, to go on Kickstarter. I already have a bunch of NES games, Famicom games. I have games for systems I don't own anymore, and none of this would have been the case if it wasn't for this podcast.
Yep, and as of Friday, I have purchased.
You added to your collection.
Console number 19, if I'm counting correctly.
Console? What did you get?
Console number 19. I bought. It's not a retro gaming console, but I bought a PlayStation 4.
There you go. Well, welcome to the 21st century.
Well, I have an Xbox One. I just. Bought that one. I have an Xbox One. I bought a Wii U, and I bought a Switch. I was like, PlayStation 4 was the one I was missing. So I felt kind of obliged to buy it. And then when I bought it, I came to the realization that, and I think we were discussing this earlier this week on Messenger, that I never owned a PS3.
Yeah, that shocked me. I could have sworn you had a PS3.
No, and I remember exactly why I didn't buy a PS3, because it was around the time we had Xbox and PS2 were around for like forever. And then 360 comes out. And I wound up, I actually didn't buy mine brand new. Remember we talked about I bought yours. I bought your old mine, and it died a week later.
Sure did.
But I bought your 360. And the reason why I never bought a PS3 was because 360 was backwards compatible with Xbox games.
This is true.
PS3 was not backwards compatible with PS2. And at the time, that pissed me off because I'm like, I don't want like a dozen, like I didn't want an extra console sitting on my TV stand because I'm like, this sucks. I go, I can't put my PlayStation 2 away because the PS3 isn't backwards compatible. So I'm like, screw you, Sony, and I just stuck with the Xbox 360. Now, lo and behold, now we're talking about today. I have 18 systems hooked up to my television, so I don't think it matters anymore what's backwards compatible and what's not.
No,
so
not
then
at
I'm like.
all.
No, so now I'm like at the point where it's like when I went to buy the PS4, I saw that GameStop had the PS3 used for $60. So I'm like, I was like, you know what? I was like, I never owned it, and there are so many great games on it I did not get to play. Not that I would have the time to play them now, but I'm pretty sure my next purchase will be a PS3 just so I can complete the collection of my Sonys.
You can complete the collection. That's true. You can complete the collection with your Sony. And I just counted while you were talking. I think I have 10. I have 9 systems hooked up right now.
And you call yourself a gamer? Shame on you.
What? Well, soon.
I'm about to hit 20.
That is wild. But a lot of if you want to save space, a lot of those good PS3 games were remastered for the PS4.
Yeah, so I've heard, and I will probably I'll probably wind up downloading a bunch of those anyway. But I do want to get a PS3 console.
I don't blame you. I don't blame
Well, I mean, now at this point, I think I can officially say that I'm a collector.
Oh yeah,
I am
totally.
collecting. So
bordering on hoarding.
No, I think judging by the setup you have behind you over there, I would call you the hoarder before me.
You and my mother both.
Well, yeah, and not to mention the fact that you have a whole new like gaming streaming setup too that you need to talk about.
That is true. That is
so you want to talk about hoarding? What did you purchase from Amazon recently?
I have it on the other side of the room too. I can't show you, but I did. Yes, my streaming game has. That sounds like for a different podcast. Has upped itself to the next level. I bought a 19-inch refurbished L something or other.
L something.
I forgot the name of the brand. It's not even a name brand. It's a refurbished 19-inch television, and basically, I bought it refurbished. It was like $70 for the sole purpose of being able to stream clearly on Facebook, retrogamers.com/ retrogamers.com, but facebook.com/retrogamers podcast. The reason is, and it's not really on your end when you watch the stream, it's for me when I play. It all happened on 4th of July. So on the 4th of July, I figured wake up early. I was up already. I play Super Mario Brothers, no warps. Figured first time in a long time, I just play through. And I had the NES Classic. The way that my apartment is set up, all the games are on one side of the room, the computer's on the other. And I bought a program. It's called Elgato, which is really good. The Elgato HD60S. And that's what lets me stream online. Really good. But the way the wires are and the way they would have to extend, it doesn't reach the computer, and I can't really move anything around. But the NES, I can move towards my computer. That's easiest. So I hooked it up, and I'm able to play through the monitor, but the gameplay on your end, when you watch, was fine. On my end, though, because of the slight lag running through the Elgato, it was just choppy. And the way my computer is, it's an old computer. It was just too choppy, and I just wasn't, my timing was off. It just wasn't playing right. So that's when I'm like, you know what? I stopped the stream, went back, and then I hooked it up and do what I usually do. Just aim my phone at it and record off the camera live. So it looks, it's got that gorilla look to it. But I'm like, you know what? This is ridiculous because I want to get like a crisp, clean shot of the games. So that's when I went online to buy the monitor. So that would allow me to bring the monitor to me. I can run, like the only extending wire I bought was an extended HDMI. So I can run the wires from the system towards the computer. Because that's really the only way I could do that. And then I can hook it through the television so I can play cleanly without any lag, and at the same time I can run the feed from the program. And it was a little wobbly in the beginning because I would hook it up through the Elgato and the screen kept blinking because the screen kept trying to grab a 1080p feed. And so now I'm thinking the refurbished television is broken, which stinks, but I bought it on Amazon. So I called Elgato. I forgot the gentleman's name. I apologize. But Jared, that's what his name was, Jared. He was a tremendous help. So basically now what I have to do is I have to just downgrade all my systems to 720p, and that would then allow a comfortable feed through the HDMI, through the Elgato, into the television, so then I don't get any choppiness. You guys get a clean stream of the game, and this now opens up a bigger world for me because I have a lot, even retro, I have a lot of games on the Xbox One, on the PS4. I think the only thing this thing doesn't work with is the PS3, which stinks. I got a lot of PS1 games on that. Okay. Unless I sign up for the PlayStation Now thing.
Yep, that's becoming the new thing now.
Yeah, we may have to run a GoFundMe.
Oh boy! All right, everybody.
Or a Patreon.
Look out for the Retro Gamers GoFundMe. Please fund our gaming habits.
We could do a Patreon monthly. You pay a little towards it, and you get photos of us on the beach or something. I don't know. That's what they do.
That's when the podcast dies.
Those are the Patreons I join. I don't know. But
how about my head superimposed on somebody else's body on the beach?
So but that just dawned on me, PlayStation Now. Maybe, was it like $20? No, a little less than that a month.
Yeah, something like that. Now, isn't Xbox coming out with one? Or
they already did, yep.
Yeah.
So basically, I just kind of
Nintendo's coming out with one for the Switch as
well. I think July, I think the end of this month.
Yeah.
Because it's free, I think, for the rest of the year, and then it's $20 a year starting next year, which is still not a bad price whatsoever.
No, it's not bad at all. So,
and you get and then we can actually play like Super Mario Brothers 3, OG Super Mario Brothers 3 online,
which is awesome. And then we can stream that.
So I was streaming from the Switch.
Fired.
I was streaming from the Switch the other day, from the Wii U. I'm gonna test it out on with the Xbox One and everything. But it's more comfortable to play. It's gonna open up a world more of difference because I have many other virtual console games like on the Wii U and on the Wii that I can broadcast. The only thing though is going to be if I want to broadcast the Famicom games from the Famicom. You picked me up in Japan because that's a composite, not even component. It's composite, and the Elgato that I have is HDMI only. So that's the only thing that I may still have to record with the phone.
Old school.
But you know what? It's an old school game, so I feel like it kind of deserves old school recording.
Exactly. So, but that's still kind of awesome. So
Yeah, no, totally.
I might have to look into that Elgato thing. One of
Yeah,
these
no,
days.
it's pretty sweet. I definitely recommend it. So, but what?
Very nice.
I can't imagine that the PS4 was the only thing that you picked up.
Why couldn't I just pick up a PS4? Why can't you just be content with that?
Because you've gone to Super Potato so many times and come back with so much stuff.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I haven't been to Japan in like 2 whole weeks.
Oh
so
no!
It's been so I can't go back to Super Potato right now. Ask me that question again on episode 51, and you'll get a different answer. Because I will be in Japan. Well, actually, when the show airs on Tuesday, I will be in Japan.
Is there any way you could take a picture with the people who work there, or get one of them to be like, the Retro Gamers this week or something like that?
Okay, what you did might have been a little bit racist. Right
No,
now.
not at all. It's perfectly fine.
Just pointing that out.
We have an Asian friend. It's okay.
No, and yes, that's true. And now we're gonna get cursed out for what you just said. But no, I don't want to do that. To be honest with you, I will happily do a selfie at Super Potato. But no, I'm not gonna try and ask people who might not understand English that they need to shout out the Retro Gamers.
Just tell the Retro Gamers #1.
No, and please stop that. Wow. So we just lost some listeners.
And I'm sure
in the event that we haven't. Yes, you are correct though. PlayStation. Going back to what you said before, a PlayStation 4 was not all I picked up this week, and the rest of my shopping was retro game related, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, you found a new store, right?
What did I do?
Did you find a new store?
I found a new store that actually was an old store that I didn't realize I had been to before, but it was in a different location. They just recently moved.
Okay.
But the cool thing, before I get to that store, I did go back to Barnes & Noble because I finished reading whatever the current because I've been traveling a lot. There was a Japan trip on top of a Florida trip on top of a Las Vegas trip that all spanned the same 2 weeks.
Good Lord.
So, needless to say, I started reading a lot.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so I blew through like 2 books I read through like 2 books in a week, which was kind of fun. Not retro game related, unfortunately, but I went to Barnes & Noble last week and picked up a couple of retro game related books.
Okay.
Which is cool. The first one is called Video Games FAQ, All That's Left to Know About Games and Gaming Culture by Mark J.P. Wolf.
Nice. So that's pronounced facts.
Yes. So basically, the book, and I haven't really read much about it except the back blurb, which is Wolf's info-dense account traces video games from their earliest renditions as blocky abstractions to the photorealistic worlds of the present day, exploring the game systems, technologies, companies, and inventors who transformed a novelty into a worldwide industry and major imaginative force along the way. So it's basically a general history book of video games. So I thought that would be an interesting one, especially after I read Console Wars, which is really, obviously an in-depth book on the Sega and Nintendo battle of the 90s. So this one's just more of this one just covers basically the whole history. Okay. So that's going to be an interesting read and coming with me on the plane to Japan.
Nice.
Which will be fun. And then the other book I got, and this one was just for fun, and will probably benefit our podcast because we'll be able to pull out some interesting statistics. But it is the Guinness World Records 2017 Gamers Edition book.
Nice. I forgot they have a whole Gamers Edition now.
Yeah, they have an entire Gamers Edition. This is the 10th edition, so they've been doing one a year.
Holy cow!
So this is the 10th one. So it's got everything in here. Role playing game records. They have different sci-fi sections. It's all by category. So like rhythm and, for example, let's see, for rhythm games, the longest marathon on a video game was done by record smasher Carrie Swidecki. She of the USA. Woo! She played Just Dance 2015 for 138 hours 34 seconds from July 11th to July 17th, 2015.
Oh my God!
Yes. So there's that's just absolutely crazy. She beat the record of Okan Kaya of Australia, who played Call of Duty Black Ops 2 for 135 hours, 15 minutes, and 10 seconds in
Jesus.
2012.
Good Lord. Meanwhile, you hear stories of people playing like this in like North Korea and South Korea, and they just drop dead after a couple of days. But these two are doing good.
Yeah, but you know what? For the Call of Duty guy, I mean, I can understand sitting in front of a computer or sitting in front of your console and playing.
That's true.
This girl danced in front of her television for 138 hours. It changed.
Hey, now, maybe not. Maybe she did a couple rounds just standing there. She may not have gotten a perfect score.
Maybe, but the bottom line is, I mean, 138 hours of dancing. Let me tell you something. That might be the best diet regimen ever. So I thought that was really cool. Of course, they have an entire page based on wrestling games, which I'm sure you'd be happy to see.
I like that. What's up with that Shawn Michaels?
Shawn Michaels. I think it's just.
Well, I know it's probably.
Yeah, it's just an image from one of the games.
Oh, okay.
But
is there a category for most depressing level in a video game? Because I know what should be the record holder on that one.
Most depressing level in a video game is every game made for the Virtual Boy.
Wow.
Yeah,
that was a lob. I said that easily.
That was a you set yourself
but
up
wrong.
Nicely.
Elite Beat Agent for the DS.
Yes. So very cool. So Guinness Book of World Records. I'm also going to read through that and pull out some interesting stats that I'm sure you'll love. Aside from those two things that I purchased, so to your point before, I went to this retro video game store called Game Portal. Okay. And Game Portal, they had existed in a different area in Burbank, but they had moved inside the Burbank Mall. So when I went to the mall to buy my PlayStation 4, I noticed directly across from the GameStop, which is probably not the best location for them, because GameStop still sells used games. However, they do sell retro games, which GameStop does not sell in store. So I saw Game Portal there, and I went in and I talked to the owner a little bit. And the store was kind of sparse, but the mall is under heavy construction right now, so there's really not a lot of foot traffic. So I was talking to the guy there, whose name was Arthur, and he was basically saying, he's like, we're not really restocking that much yet, because not a lot of people are coming to the mall. It reopens in October. When it does, we'll have a lot more stuff, which is cool. And then he also proceeded to tell me that some collector showed up the day before I did and cleaned him out.
Oh.
So, like, when I was walking around the store, I mean, there was stuff there, but not a lot of stuff. So he did show me a really sweet N64 GoldenEye, brand new, still sealed.
Really?
Brand new, still sealed, never opened. It was $160.
Sounds good to me. Holy cow!
I'll pick it up for you if you want.
We'll see.
So anyway, so he had a good, like a small amount of stuff for like every system, but nothing substantial. So I kind of wandered around a little bit, and then my penchant for wanting. I always like to buy games with their packaging.
Yep.
I just think it's a little more special to have the packaging, even though you probably got to pay a little bit more. So whenever I get an opportunity, I'll buy them with packaging. And I picked up 6 games in their original packaging.
Nice.
Some of them were little cheapy ones. So for Sega Genesis, I picked up the Bulls vs. Blazers and the NBA playoffs.
Nice.
I don't remember, I was never a huge basketball fan, but I remember there was one of these games, basketball games, I really loved. It was either Bulls vs. Blazers or the other game I picked up, which was Bulls vs. Lakers and the NBA playoffs.
That one.
It was one of these that I owned. So, and again,
nice.
They're in their original packaging.
Yep.
And if you look at Bulls vs. Lakers, it has the instruction
booklet.
booklet.
Nice. There's that EA card.
It's always hard to get the instruction booklets. The other one does not have the instruction booklet. So
that EA card with that little yellow tab on the side.
Yes. So I picked those up. Also for Sega Genesis, and this game I used to own, and for some odd reason loved playing it.
Game I used to own.
But U.S. Gold presents Olympic Gold. So this was the Olympics game for Barcelona in 1992.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I loved playing this game. So I had to pick it up. It was only like $8. And
there you go. Nice.
And it has somebody's name written on the back in crayon that I'm sure I can wash off.
Look at that.
So yeah. So whoever Brian.
Thanks, Brian. We'll leave it at Brian.
Yeah, whoever Brian is, thank you for your game. You were probably 7 years old when you wrote this because your penmanship is just atrocious.
It looks better than mine.
But, yeah, well, it looks better than yours as an adult.
Are you sure it's on the case and not on the thing?
No. It's definitely on the plastic.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because they have, it has plastic covering.
No, of course. Yeah, I just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure.
So
Okay.
I should be able to watch that right off Magic
Cool.
Eraser. And then I also picked up 2 games for the Atari, and these were also in their original box, which was Tutankhamun for the Atari 2600, and the Sears Video Arcade.
Tutankhamun. Let me see the back of that box. How's that play?
Yeah. So I remember playing this game, and it's not really fun, but
okay.
but it's like a maze game.
Yeah.
I think you're trying to find King Tut's tomb, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So
nice condition, though.
But I got to say, the packaging is in excellent shape. So had to grab that. Another game I picked up was called, also for the Atari, Maze Craze, which was a game of cops and robbers. And this was one of the old Atari games where on the back it was just the plain description.
Yep.
No. So it was all about the cover art on the front.
That's that cover art. Sweet.
Yep. So, and again, the cartridge is in excellent shape.
That is a really good condition. Holy cow! Very nice.
Yep. Excellent shape. And do I have it? It has the instruction booklet.
Yeah, even also in amazing condition. Wow.
Yep. And the instruction booklet also, I don't remember playing this game that much. It wasn't obviously Maze Craze. Mm-hmm. It was a maze. But on the back of the instruction booklet, there's like a score sheet.
Oh, that's weird.
I guess that you would keep track of.
Yeah, I guess so.
How you were playing.
Yeah, once.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, and the score sheet obviously is not filled out or anything. So
good.
It's like this was actually I was actually really surprised with this one. This was a good find. So I was very happy with that. So that was game number 5 that I purchased.
Oh,
and
one more.
I'll have to put that back later because it won't fit in. And then last but not least, this one looks brand new, even though it's open. Mm-hmm. But for the Super Nintendo, the Chess Master.
Oh, love that game.
Yes. So, and again, if I open, I'm going to open it and just show you.
I remember Chess Master for PC. I used to play that a lot, and me and my dad would play that on Super Nintendo. Oh man.
Yep. So again, it's still got the instruction booklet in it. That's never been opened.
Nice.
And then the cartridge.
Look at that.
With the cover, it's just brand spanking new. Including this is why I know nobody really touched this game. It's got the poster in it. The Chess Master poster is still in the packaging. So this was probably my favorite find out of all of them because it looks like it's brand new. All it needed was the shrink wrap.
Yeah, right.
So Chess Master. So Game Portal, really cool place. Also, when I was talking to Arthur, he said I happened to notice that he had somebody else's podcast information, like a card there. Mm-hmm. So I told him, I was like, I do a weekly podcast, Retro Gamers, with my friend. He's like, bring your card in. He's like, well, we'll put them out for people to take and everything like that. So I was like, okay, so I made a friend.
There you go. Nice. I got to send you cards now.
We got to make new cards. So so all in all, I mean, it was a really good find.
Good.
Really good. Yeah. So, and I will be frequenting there now that I know that they're less than 10.
You are now going to be.
I am really screwed.
You are a VIP customer at this point.
I shall be.
That's awesome. So,
and that's it. And that's all I bought.
For now. Tune in next week.
Tune in next week when I get back from Japan again, and I just bring back the entire Super Potato store, complete with employees.
Yes. We will get the selfie, and we will get them to say, and I'll just say it normally for Anthony, the Retro Gamers #1.
Okay, I will ask.
And if you get one of them to say Gojira, I'll pay you money to do that.
Oh my god! But they have to look up into the sky.
Yes. Oh my god! I may have to go with you this time.
You should.
I would, if I had the money.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's a little expensive to fly to Japan,
especially from New York.
Oh yeah, it's even more expensive.
Yeah, right.
Not to mention an extra 6 hours on the plane.
Yeah, please tell me about it. So good haul, nice stuff there, Anthony. Picking up some OG games and the PS4, and because now I got my setup, and this is why we do the Retro Gamers. All right, so what fitting way to celebrate the 50th episode, the 50th podcast of the Retro Gamers, and with a top 50 list. Good Lord.
Oh my God! Yeah, I know. This is gonna hurt, isn't it?
No, not really. So this is we get from Ranker.com, and this is the 50 best classic video games. Originally by Ranker Community. So what's interesting about this one is this is more like almost voter based as opposed to just one person or a couple people coming up with a list. So this may have a little more weight to it than some other lists that we've done.
Yeah, and I agree with that because a lot of the lists we get are usually like, oh, these are the official lists of like video game sales or what gaming sites have ranked games and stuff like that. This is the first one I think that I found actually listens to people, just regular people, regular gamers voting on what they think is best. And it's a really interesting list and contains a lot of the games you would expect with some surprises in terms of where they rank.
No, totally. And I think it's always constantly being updated. So this is, as of right now, as of this recording, this will be the top 50, and we're just going to run through them here real quick.
Before you say that, just one caveat is that this is specifically for classic video games, which, based on their list rules, would be between 1960 and 2000.
There we go.
So the cutoff for these are 2000, which we thought fit perfectly for us as retro gamers.
Oh, absolutely. I'm trying to think what game came out in 1960, but. I know there was that first game that came out. Oh, what was that called?
Yeah, I forget the name of it. It wasn't like a war game kind of game.
Something like that. I think what's his strategy game? Who co-founded Apple? I thought he did it.
Wozniak?
Yeah, I don't know why I thought him. Maybe not. I could be wrong.
Let's see. Well, so it was October 1958, actually.
Oh my God! All right, I don't think it was Wozniak then.
Physicist William Higginbotham created what is thought to be the first video game. It was a very simple tennis game similar to the classic 1970s video game Pong.
Oh, that's not what I'm thinking of. Okay. Huh.
Nope.
Interesting.
So that was considered the first video game.
Okay, and that game is disqualified from this list because it's 1952.
Because it starts in 1958.
That game can go straight in the trash.
That's right. It never existed. 1960 on, people.
And here we go. So, number 50 on this list by Ranker. 1972's Pong.
Which was based off the 1958 tennis game by William Higginbotham.
So, Pong being the first ripoff of a video game.
That poor physicist.
Pong, Pong is usually known as kind of like almost like the first home system game, the first game like arcade game and stuff like that. So definitely deserving on the list.
Definitely deserving on the list, and just for the sheer fact of its legacy.
Totally.
And I remember owning Pong, and it was just one of those. You didn't have Pong?
Not an original Pong system. I had Pong on PlayStation.
Oh man,
but
I remember playing it. I don't think I necessarily had it. I think it may have been my uncle that had it. I don't remember, but it was because it was just Pong. There was nothing else to the system. Exactly. It was like you hooked it up to the TV, you turned it on, and you played Pong. There was nothing else you could do with it.
And there's a few Pong systems at the Cradle of Aviation. So.
Very cool. Yeah. So then when I come visit in August, I will have to Pong you.
Exactly. No. Number 49, 1995's Chrono Trigger.
This one actually surprised me at number 49 because Chrono Trigger is considered by a lot of lists that you would read the best RPG ever created. Mm-hmm. And I can argue for that, even though I'm a huge Legend of Zelda fan. Chrono Trigger was probably one of the most enjoyable RPGs I've ever played, hands down. And
it's going to be on the SNES Classic, so.
Yes, and one of the many reasons to purchase the SNES Classic is if you've never played Chrono Trigger, you are doing yourself a grand disservice. Absolutely. By far and away. And I'm talking as a guy who only finished the game, I think, a year or two ago. Because,
really?
Yeah. I started it a long time ago, never finished it, then went back to it.
Wow.
Like about a year and a half ago, and I was like, wow. I was like, man, am I missing out? First off, an RPG with like 10 different endings is just talk about a replay factor. But just the fact of being able, playing through that game, the story, the characters, everything about it, absolutely fantastic.
Right.
And worth your time.
Absolutely. Let's see. Number 48, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, 1992.
Well, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which introduced Tails.
It sure did. I love Tails. Tails is awesome.
Tails was awesome. I never really came around to Knuckles, which was Sonic 3, right?
I mean, he was cool when you had the Sonic and Knuckles, where you do the add-on for Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 and 3. And
that was fun, but there was something about like 2, because, I mean, 1 was the first Sonic was such a huge success, and then 2 just built on that and made it better. And Tails was just, what could have came off as like a cheap mascot, and gone the way of Stanley, Donkey Kong 3 Stanley, would wind up to be like just such a great addition to the game and the canon of Sonic the Hedgehog. So
do you know Tails' full name?
Miles something.
Miles Tails Prower.
That's right, Miles Tails Prower. Good for him.
And
it's hard to say.
Wow. Okay, 1992, the game came out, and it literally just now dawned on me his name. Miles Prower. Miles per hour.
Miles per
never
hour.
Put that together until right now.
Is your mind blown?
A little bit. You can hear it. Miles per hour. Holy cow. Okay. That completely makes sense now.
You are sad.
Because I'm always like, why not? Should it be Miles Power? I just thought they misspelled it or something. I know Miles Prower. Oh wow. Okay. Well, there you go. All right,
Larry. I hate to break this to you, but puns are huge in the video game industry.
Have a good week, folks. I'm done.
Well, while you're done, I mean, we're only three games in, so I will continue the list by myself.
I got it.
I warn you. I warn you now, or maybe I should applaud everybody now. Let them know that there are no Virtual Boy games on this.
Miles Tails per hour. Number 47, 1993's SimCity 2000. I had that on the PS1.
Yeah, SimCity 2000 was awesome. I loved the original SimCity, but for some odd reason, like about 2 years into my city being built, I was always dead broke, and then just everything got destroyed. SimCity 2000, I was able to flourish more in that game, so it was definitely an awesome game.
Number 46, I think a very, very underrated Zelda game for the Game Boy, 1993's The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.
Well, I'm guessing it's not that underrated if people have voted it on the top 50 games of all time.
But what I mean is, like, when you like rank like Zelda games, I usually don't find it high up on the list, and the game is phenomenal, Link's Awakening. So. Yeah,
see, and handheld games, I've never played the handheld Zelda games, so I plan on rectifying that soon.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if they remade that. Number 45, let's go back to 1982 and Atari's Pitfall.
Oh, man, Pitfall was awesome. I used to... But, when you used to swing across the moat with the alligator, I used to always get eaten by the alligator.
Yeah, it's like, stupid alligator.
I used to always screw that up. And then there was the tribesman that was holding your girlfriend hostage.
Yes.
You got to the next screen that you had to jump over at just the right time. It was awesome. Absolutely love that game. It was probably one of the, I guess, what you would consider one of the first adventure games ever created.
Besides adventure.
Yeah. Well, yes, I mean adventure, of course, but you know what I mean.
Of course.
But it was, it was a great side-scrolling game, super fun. And if you ever get a chance, if you haven't played it, again, pick it up.
Totally. Number 44, 1989's Prince of Persia. Great game, horrible movie.
That's right. They did make a movie.
Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Wasn't it Jake Gyllenhaal with a horrible accent?
I don't remember his accent.
And to be honest, I've never played the original Prince of Persia, so I don't really know much about it.
I think I have it on Xbox 360. I think I downloaded it. It wasn't a game. It wasn't a game I played a lot back in the day. But the gameplay was very new at the time in 1989. It was a side scroller, but not really. And the way the game flowed, and you had to set off traps and set off mechanisms to get through the tower or whatever it was.
Yeah,
so new.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those. It's like I need to go back and play it.
Absolutely.
If people have voted it on this top 50 list, I feel like I owe it to myself to at least play it so I can get a a good sense of what the game's about. Because I think this may be the only game on the list I haven't played.
Number 43, 1997's $160 GoldenEye 007 for the N64.
Brand new, still shrink wrap. That game portal in.
Game on. Take it. GoldenEye, I mean, we've talked about it before. We can have a whole episode dedicated to it. It was my 1998 and 1999 in college. That's what got me through those first 2 years.
And it was not mine because it used to give me headaches. First-person shooters always hurt my head. Unfortunately.
Number 42, another N64 game, 1996, Super Mario 64.
I actually was surprised. I thought this would be higher on the list. But number 42, especially because it was so monumental in its day. And we've talked about it plenty of times on this podcast. So Mario 64, bar none, like I still go back and play that game because it's just the replay value on it is just fantastic.
I've never gotten that last star. When I had the original,
so you can get Yoshi.
Yep, the original cartridge that I had, it was that last star that I was never able to get.
Oh wow, I think you actually got further than I did on that then, because because it's 120 stars.
Yeah,
to get Yoshi,
and had 119.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I ever got to 120. I don't. To be honest with you, I don't even know if I got to 100.
Wow.
I know I beat the game. I know I definitely beat.
Oh
the
yeah,
game.
no, definitely beating the game before that. Yeah.
But I need to go back because the completionist in me will want to do that.
Number 41. Let's go back to the year of my birth, 1980, and Atari's Defender.
Now, I was actually surprised that this one made the list at all. Defender was a great game, and maybe because it was like maybe one of the first or the first side-scrolling like spaceship games that makes it make the list, and I enjoyed it a lot too. But I was actually that one surprised me a little bit. Especially it's ranked above like games like Super Mario 64, Link's Awakening, Chrono Trigger. So I was like, okay, so apparently people really love Defender.
Number 40, 1997, PlayStation, Final Fantasy VII.
Yes, one of the, if not the best RPGs of all time.
Definitely probably the best Final Fantasy, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, hands down, it's the best Final Fantasy. I've yet to play through another Final Fantasy that compares to it in my head. And I remember when it came out because I didn't know a lot about Final Fantasy at that point in time because I wasn't outside of Zelda. I wasn't big into like RPG, and even Zelda's more like RPG / action adventure.
Oh, totally.
So Final Fantasy VII was like a hardcore introduction to RPG for me, and man, it just blew me away. Like the story itself is just worth watching.
Oh, totally.
Watching through, it's fantastic.
Number 39. Let's go back to the N64. 1998's. All right, hold on. This website's confusing me. So number 39, 1998's Mario Party, but for some reason the graphic is Mario. Oh, okay, never mind. That's the die.
No,
Mario Party.
Mario Party.
I'm like, why are they showing Mario Party 3?
Yes.
So Mario Party, yes.
Yeah, and
great game.
Excellent game, and I think as of maybe 3 months ago, the hand injuries I sustained from that have finally healed.
Remember the gloves they had to give out for free because of that?
because people were literally ripping skin off their hands, and I was one of them
because you had to go in a circle on the analog stick. So people used the palm of their hand and just circle. Yeah, it was wicked. Nintendo had to mail out game gloves, which I'd love to see one. I'd love to get my hands on one of those.
I know. I used to have a hole in the center of my hand that looked pseudo-religious on me. But that's a different story.
Number 38. N64 again, 1996's Mario Kart 64.
Yeah, and you know what? You can argue that was the best Mario Kart.
I was going to say, yeah, totally.
Although I will say the new one on the Switch, or which was on the Wii U, the Mario Kart on the Wii U and the Switch. Yeah, it's Mario Kart 8. Man, I've never seen a Mario Kart packed with so much stuff.
Oh, God, it's amazing.
But Mario Kart 64, absolutely fantastic. The boards, I still remember the boards from that game. Like Wario Stadium, Rainbow Road, just the boards on that were definitely worth playing through.
Number 37, back old school, NES, 1984's Duck Hunt, and that stupid dog.
Oh man, well that was the whole reason to play the game, was so the dog could laugh at you when you missed. Of course, you can't play it now on today's TVs, but you can with your brand new 19-inch tube television.
No, it's not a tube television. It's a flat screen.
Oh, is it a flat screen?
I bought a flat screen. Yeah. What are you kidding me? I can't lug a tube screen around here every now and again.
Oh, I thought it was a tube.
No, it's still flat screen. What, an HDMI tube television? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I thought you bought it from Amazon, because I'm like, wait, who made that thing? I'm like, who the hell decided I'm gonna make an HDMI compatible 19-inch tube television?
Duck Hunt is available on the Wii Virtual Console, on the Wii U Virtual Console. Excuse me.
Yeah, but how do you play it? Oh, I guess with the Wii U controller.
With the controller and the controller zapper. Yeah. Did you know Player 2 can control the duck?
Oh, I didn't know that.
If you plugged in a second controller, the second player controls the duck.
That was in the NES game too?
Yep.
Wow. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go. Well, I can't go back and play it now because people are always gonna miss. But that's kind of fun to know.
Number 36, 1998. Let's go to the PlayStation 1. Metal Gear Solid.
Did you play Metal Gear Solid?
I did.
Yeah, and thoughts?
It was so different than everything else because the game relied on stealth as opposed to just running and gunning that we're all used to. So it took a while to get used to it. And then of course later on you had that one boss, I forgot his name, the one where you had to plug in your controller into the second port to defeat him.
Oh yeah,
Psycho
that's right.
something or other.
Yeah,
you kept reading your memory card.
Yes, I do remember him. But yeah, probably like this one to me felt like it was the first like real all around like army. I don't know how to.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because that stealth, that espionage.
Yeah, the whole espionage thing. Yeah. It really made you feel like kind of spy-ish.
But you know what I played more of? Remember Metal Gear Solid VR missions?
Yes.
That I played more. It wasn't an actual Metal Gear Solid. It was a Metal Gear Solid game, but it was just like kind of the mini missions they released on a separate disc, which was just fun to play. Just kind of, like just these like almost like training stuff. It was pretty cool.
Well, that's cool.
Number 35, 1997's Grand Theft Auto.
Oh man, and who knew a game like this would spawn such a franchise that's been so beloved and monumental? I just now, when I bought my PlayStation 4 at GameStop, got GTA 5, Grand Theft Auto 5 for free.
There you go. Nice.
And I know Grand Theft Auto 5's been out for years now, and I've yet to play it. So I'm looking forward to plugging that in and causing some mayhem.
You know what? I have GTA 5 on PS3. Never mind. So
you need to get PS4. But the original one, if you've never played it, it's pretty much the same thing like the Grand Theft Autos you know today, except it had that top-down view.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, it was so much fun.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I never had more fun carjacking and killing hookers in my life than playing GTA.
Yeah. So for all you who aspire to do that in life, we really recommend you do it in the video game version.
Yes, please. Number 34, 1994's Final Fantasy 1 and 2. So this is kind of a dual game.
Yes. And Final Fantasy 1 and 2, of course, 1 is the one that started it all, and 2. And again, the coolest thing about Final Fantasy is that they really took care of making sure that the stories were strong.
Totally.
So and obviously that the experiences are long when you play these games. You really have to invest time.
Oh god.
But Final Fantasy 1, when I finally played it through, and this was after I had played 7. It's definitely a worthwhile experience. So if you've never played the original, go back to it, and the sequel is just as good. So, really cool.
Number 33, another Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy 6, which I don't remember as much. This one's from 1994, also.
Well, Final Fantasy 6, if I remember correctly, was that the one that was released in the States as Final Fantasy 3? Or was Final Fantasy 3 released in the States as Final Fantasy 6? It's like there was some weird thing that went on with Final Fantasy 3 in the U.S. that it took a while before it got
3
here.
Was our 1.
3 was our 1.
I am so lost in that conversion rate with the Final Fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a little confusion. Okay, so Final Fantasy 6 was released in North America as Final Fantasy 3.
Okay, all right.
That's what it was. But Final Fantasy, it was Final Fantasy 6 in Japan.
Gotcha. Number 32, 1989's SimCity, the original SimCity.
Yes, and as I said earlier, 2 years in, always lost.
Jack those taxes.
I was a horrible. But then everybody would complain about the taxes, and I would feel bad.
Then that's when you go and you start kicking people out of the house and you move new people in.
Yeah, I know. I should have been an evil mayor. I would have made more money.
Number 31, 1985's Tetris.
Yeah, oh man, talk about this game is just. I mean, this is a game that any human being can pick up and become obsessed with.
Absolutely, and I believe specifically this because not to spoil anything, but we're going to see something a little bit later on. But I think this Tetris may be the NES version, maybe. Or the Game Boy version?
Well, I mean, it's just the image that they're showing.
Tetris.
I think it's just the game Tetris. I mean, Tetris has been ported to everything.
Honestly, right?
Everything. I mean, you could play it on your phone. You could play. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different. Yeah, there's so many ways to play Tetris, which is why, some people consider it the greatest game of all time, and it's, to be honest, it's hard to argue that because it has literally permeated itself into pop culture everywhere.
Number 30, 1979's Asteroids.
This was the game I remember I had on the Atari 2600 where the entire family, not just me, not just my sisters, but the entire family, including parents, would argue over who got the next turn. We would all just sit around taking turns playing Asteroids. And then later on when Tetris came out, we would do the same thing with that. So those were the two games we used to always argue over who got next turn, and Asteroids was definitely beloved in my home.
Parents aren't pulling rank to play Asteroids?
No, they always won out.
Number 29, 1982's Pole Position.
Oh man, I remember playing Pole Position, I think, more in the arcade than I do on a console.
Yep.
I know it came out on the console, but man, just the idea of being able to get behind a car wheel and race.
Not only that, but there was a qualifier. Remember, prepare to qualify. You had.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's one of the first ones I remember with a qualifying round, if not the first one. So.
Yep, and just a little fun fact: it came out in 1983 and became the highest-grossing arcade game in North America. It sold 21,000 machines.
Wow, and for machines, that's a lot back then.
For $61 million.
Good Lord. They definitely got their money back. Sweet.
Yeah.
Number 28, 1987's Double Dragon.
Oh, Double Dragon. And I really hope they're talking about the arcade because that NES port was terrible. I
don't know why people have such a problem with it.
It was a very problematic
I know
port.
It was, but I don't remember the problems. Maybe because
you were 7.
That's true. You're right.
You did not care.
They do have the Double Dragon arcade game at the Cradle of Aviation.
Oh, do they?
Yep.
Ooh, gonna have to play that.
Number 27, 1993's NBA Jam, which just recently had a write-up, a good article, the history of it in, I want to say Rolling Stone, but probably something a little less than that. But it just recently had one. Because a buddy of mine who works at Barcade in Brooklyn, where we were at one time, I think they used one of their photos because they have an NBA Jam there for their article. Maybe it wasn't Rolling Stone. Maybe I'm shooting over the moon on that one. But yeah, no, it just had a really good write up. And I remember playing that game. That was one of the first to really take advantage, at least on the Super Nintendo, of the multi-tap to get 4 players playing. And then you had he's heating up, he's on fire, all that. And NBA Jam was just an awesome entry into the arcade style of sports. It wasn't an actual basketball game. It was an arcade over-the-top version of basketball.
Yep, and I don't know if you remember, but the tournament edition that was ported to console allowed you to use, at the time, President Bill Clinton and First Lady Hillary Clinton as players.
I do remember that.
Oh, and also Vice President Al Gore. And it was Marv Albert who did the commentary, didn't he?
I thought it was, who's the other guy?
No, not Marv. Marv did one of them.
No, what's the guy's name? Boom Shakalaka. He's on ESPN, or he was on ESPN. I forgot his name. People are screaming right now. I know you are. All right. Well, we'll figure it out later.
Yep. Moving on.
All right. Number 26. 1986's Metroid.
Oh, boy. And what a game. That's all I can say to that. It's a game it's one of those games I've also discussed on this podcast that I've never beaten, and I need to go back and play and finish.
Yep.
But probably one of the greatest reveals in a video game ever was when, Samus took off her helmet to reveal that she was a woman.
I don't know her helmet, but most of her clothes, depending on how quickly you beat it. But no, you're right.
Very true.
That part of it aside, the realization.
Yeah, that's a word. It's okay.
That you were playing as a girl. I mean, back in '86, you're like, what? What is going on with that? That was
That's not fair. Girls can't kick ass.
Not in '86.
Well, did you not see Alien or Aliens?
Not in '86, no.
Well, that's true. You were 6 years old.
Yes.
But your parents should have sat you down and taught you proper and made you watch that at that age.
So that's actually the first half of the list. We're going to take just a quick little break here to regroup ourselves, and we'll come back with the top 25 of the top 50 best classic video games as per Ranker.com, or at least as those voted on Ranker.com. So we're going to take a very short break. We'll be right back. Hey folks, remember, if you're on Long Island, coming up in August 12th and August 13th is the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo 2017. This time it's moving to the Cradle of Aviation Museum. Myself and Anthony will be flying in. Well, I'm already here, but Anthony will be flying in.
I have to do the work. Fly in.
So tickets are available right now, expo.liretro.com/tickets. The link will be down below. Buy them early. Single-day tickets, $20 for adults, $10 for children, ages 2 to 12. If you want a 2-day weekend pass, $30 for adults, $15 for children. And the online tickets, get them by Friday midnight, August 11th, because after that, $5 more at the door, and no 2-day pass are available at the door. There's a lot of things happening this weekend, Ant. We're just talking guest speakers. There's board games being played. There's also an achievement station happening.
Yes, I'm looking forward to some of these achievement stations because one of them is from the Nintendo World Championships of 1990, the tournament that you were too afraid to play after your dad bought you a ticket to it. Now you get a chance to right that wrong.
I may be able to get some redemption on that one. They have also Star Fox, Donkey Kong, Frogger, just to name a few, Punch-Out, and even some other ones, Power Fest, Blockbuster Video Game Championship 2. So, and these are available. Definitely check it out with the Achievement Station, cosplay contest, and of course, free play throughout the day, August 12th and August 13th. Check it out. The Long Island Retro Gaming Expo 2017, and the Retro Gamers will be there broadcasting live, including a live podcast. So that should be exciting.
Yeah, we are not responsible for any and all curses that happen.
Oh, boy.
during that live.
So go check it out, expo.liretro.com. All right, so we're back for the rest of the top 50 of the best classic video games as voted really by us on Ranker.com. So let's see what rounds out the top 25.
Well, when you say by us, it's
not me and you.
Actual, yes, actual gamers. I don't want people to think we came up with this list. Thank you.
We will one day. Number 25, 1982's, and in my opinion, the greatest arcade game of all time, Ms. Pac-Man.
Well, I mean, and you can definitely argue that is the greatest game of all time because I think everybody in the world knows who Pac-Man is. Or more specifically, Ms. Pac-Man. But just, I know you're always trying to beat your high score and keep it up there for the night. I'm going to take that challenge at the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo.
Really? Are we going to have a head-to-head?
I think we should.
We're going to do a two-player? Okay, I've done that before.
We're going to do a two-player mode, yes.
I already beat that lady, so now I guess me and you are going to have to...
Now you got to beat this lady.
What? That's just weird. All right. The challenge has been set, folks. So be on the lookout for that one.
Oh, man. Now I got to go practice.
Number 24, 1987's Street Fighter.
And again, interesting that the original Street Fighter's on the list and not Street Fighter. You know, I would think Street Fighter 2 would have been up here.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, they...
I guess it's just the whole thing altogether.
I guess so. But, in my heart of hearts, Street Fighter 2 would be the one to stick up there.
Oh, of course.
No question. I mean, it was far superior to the original Street Fighter.
Absolutely. Number 23, Pokemon Red and Blue.
The two that started it all.
Yep, on Game Boy.
Oh, my God. I was playing Pokemon Go last night at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, were you? Did you catch anything good?
Yeah, I caught a Pikachu wearing a hat. like a cap, like a baseball cap.
That seems very West Coast. Okay.
I guess. Well, you know what? Out here, Pikachu's cool.
Number 20.
Well, wait, he's not that cool. He wasn't wearing it backwards.
Oh, okay. I'll forget that. Number 22, 1994's Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Country.
And when you go back and look at Donkey Kong Country, you would almost you can almost swear playing that game that it belonged on the N64. That's how good it looked. That's how well it played. It was so smooth. The graphics were amazing.
Those pre-rendered 3D graphics were ridiculous.
Yeah, it really went to show you how powerful the Super Nintendo was.
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
That they were able to make a game like Donkey Kong Country on it, and well worth being listed, at number 22 or higher. Yeah.
Number 21, 1987's Coin Chomping Gauntlet.
This game ate all of my quarters when I was a kid.
And it was designed to do so.
Yes. Yeah, but you know what? I mean, to this day, Gauntlet is still probably one of the best multiplayer games ever created.
Oh, totally.
I just loved it. And I always ran around as the elf because he was the fastest.
He was, yeah.
He was. I couldn't play as the warrior. He was so slow.
I like the archer. You shoot from afar.
Well, that was the elf. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of...
Well, or am I automatically assuming archers are elves because of Lord of the Rings?
Now you got me confused.
Yeah, now I'm confused. Anyway,
right.
You are correct. The archer was the best one to play because he was so damn fast.
Number 20, 1991's Sonic the Hedgehog, OG Sonic.
Oh, OG Sonic, man. The game that put Sega on the map and for a while had them beating out Nintendo in the 16-bit console race. Even though, we all know the Genesis came out years before the Super Nintendo did. It came out, I think, at least 2 years prior.
Something like that.
But Sonic the Hedgehog was the answer to the SNES console. They both came out the same year, I believe. So, and man, yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog today is one of the most well-recognized mascots globally.
Oh, hands down.
He ranks up there, if not above or equal to Mario, which is
really
amazing.
I can't imagine above.
Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, Sonic took over like nobody's business. I mean, it's amazing what he was able to accomplish. And don't forget, there was a very successful television animated series.
That's true.
Which Mario cannot lay the claim to. They had animated series. They weren't that successful. But yeah, Sonic is just everywhere, and it's all thanks to that first game.
Number 19, 1984's Paperboy.
Oh man, another game that I was obsessed with. What was it about virtually delivering newspapers that could be so appealing?
It was knocking over those tombstones.
I know, because maybe it was that. I don't know, because when I was a kid, I had a paper route, and it was not fun.
You mean you didn't have to dodge breakdancers or worry about throwing or having enough power to whip that newspaper through a window?
No, I was never able to accomplish that, but I did manage to dodge very angry patrons when I had to collect their money.
And that stupid obstacle course that, for some reason, was always set up at the end of the block?
Yeah, well, you know what? That was just for fun.
Number 18, 1982's sadistic Dig Dug.
Yeah, oh man, Dig Dug was cruel.
And I say sadistic because the premise as the hero is to jab the villains, fill them with air until they popped.
Hey, you know what? If they're villains, they deserve a little torture before they die. What's
true.
wrong with that?
I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Exactly.
Hey,
good job, Dig Dug.
Who's calling me? All right. Well, we're going to let that one go. Number 17.
Somebody's calling to complain about this.
All right. Well, take care of the phone. Where were we? Okay, so Dig Dug, number 18. Number 17, Super Smash Brothers, 1999.
Oh man, tell me. I mean, anybody who owned an N64 had to own Super Smash Brothers because, you just got 3 of your friends together and you got to beat the snot out of them.
Oh yeah.
Now my phone's ringing. Is your dad calling me?
Maybe. Quite possibly. Yeah. We're gonna see what happens.
But I gotta say, Super Smash Brothers, by far and away, is just it was probably one of the best multiplayer games of all time. And ever since its invention, every Nintendo system has come out with it. I personally liked the one that had Rob the Robot in it.
Oh yeah, that was later on. That was I think GameCube and Wii started breaking out the big names from way back when.
Yeah, but that was just awesome, playing
totally.
as Rob the Robot, because he was completely useless on the NES. It was nice to actually have him be useful for a change.
Number 16, the very first game I ever beat, 1987's Contra.
And the last game you ever beat. No, yes, Contra. What else can we say about Contra that we haven't said already, except that you have the Famicom version on the way.
Yes,
in the
I cannot
mail.
wait. I cannot wait.
I know, you're going to have to live stream that one.
Oh, I sure will.
It's basically the same game, just the title screens maybe in Japanese.
Works
I don't know.
for me.
But yes, Contra, one of the best games ever made.
Number 15, 1981's Galaga.
Galaga, which to me was the better version of Space Invaders, more or less.
Yeah, right? Oh, totally.
Galaga is just so cool. And again, if you haven't played Galaga, it's basically like Space Invaders, where you're a spaceship shooting a bunch of aliens that are coming down to try and attack you. Alien ship. If you have not played it, the coolest thing about it is the simplicity of the game.
I think also
how challenging it was.
The genius of how to double up your firepower.
Yes,
you had to you had to sacrifice a character.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really, really great concept, really entertaining game. Definitely worth your time, no question.
Number 14, 1991, probably hands down, in my opinion, the best Zelda game for the Super Nintendo, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
A Link to the Past, I think, for me, was the best game on the Super Nintendo console.
Okay.
Hands down. Was it the greatest Zelda of all time? I always go back and forth. I can't. It depends on the day.
What? That and the original?
Between that and Ocarina of Time. I loved the original. Don't get me wrong.
No, but Ocarina
absolutely
of Time
loved
was
the
good
original.
too.
But man, Ocarina of Time was so cool. But Link to the Past was so amazing. Playing through the whole light side of the game and then winding up in the dark world was just an absolute treat. It's probably one of the games that I go back and replay the most.
I see that.
Yeah, because it's so awesome.
Number 13, 1978's Space Invaders.
See now I would
knockoff of Galaga.
Yes, exactly. I'm gonna almost switch this with Galaga, but the reason why I think it ranks higher is because Space Invaders came first. Mm-hmm. So maybe without Space Invaders, we wouldn't have Galaga.
That's true.
Again, Space Invaders I remember playing that on my Atari. And just absolutely loving it. That used to drive that one and Asteroids, I think, were two of my most played games.
Number 12, 1990's Super Mario World,
which you just streamed yesterday.
I did, yeah. It was a test stream.
How many days ago?
I don't know. This by the time this drops and when we did it, recording.
Yeah,
it
was late.
Oh, it had to have been at least Friday because that's when I got the television. So this past
lovely.
Friday. But yeah, no, Super Mario World. Such a fantastic foray into the Super Nintendo because that was the pack-in game.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was. I mean, talk about a game that made you want to buy a system.
Oh, absolutely. Number 11, 1992's Mortal Kombat.
Do you have to say it like that?
I could say Mortal Kombat.
That was terrible.
That was terrible.
Yeah. So anyway, anybody who's played Mortal Kombat knows just how amazing that game is. It was one of the games, if not the premier game, that introduced the ratings board.
There you go. Thanks.
That's all you need to know. One of the best fighting games ever made.
And a game that, if it wasn't for Mortal Kombat, this game probably would have done the rating boards. Number 10, 1993's Doom.
Doom also equally responsible for the ratings board that we have.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, first person Labyrinth, shoot 'em up, kill things.
Hell.
I mean, yeah, like demons, hell, all kinds of. I mean, it had it all, and then some.
Number 9, OG Legend of Zelda, the original.
Again, catch me on a certain day, and I'll tell you again. Probably the most replayable game for me on the NES as well. Even though I've beaten it 1,000 times, I always go back and try and beat it a little bit faster.
Have you ever beaten the Master Quest, or a second quest, I should say?
Yes, I have. I have beaten the Master Quest. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Oh yeah, no question about it. How can you not play through both? Shame on you.
Number 8, 1992's Super Mario Kart.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Mario Kart 64 earlier, but the original Super Mario Kart they invented a whole new game. Like they basically invented a whole new genre of gaming, because there were plenty of racing games out there, but leave it to Nintendo to come up with the idea of, we're going to do a go-kart game, and it's going to be awesome.
and launch a brand new genre of gaming.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Nintendo.
So I mentioned earlier Tetris was lower on the list. This is why, and I was like, something seems kind of confusing. Because number 7 is Tetris, the Soviet mind game. Now, I can only imagine that this is the original Tetris that Alex, whatever his name was, Alexiv, created, and the other one was kind of like the home console version.
Yeah, I think you're correct about that, because there's a whole big story about Tetris, because when Alexei Pajitnov, I believe his name was, Petronov, when he created the game, he did not copyright it.
I was going to say, Russia at that point technically created the game.
Right,
the Soviet Union.
Right, but the issue was, I don't think he copyrighted it properly, which is why there was a whole big issue with that.
Yeah, I think the issue was the fact that he was in communist Soviet Union, and they just took it from him when he was making money.
Basically.
Yeah.
So
not necessarily a copyright problem. Even if he had a copyright, I think the Soviet Union still would have taken the money.
So, okay, I was trying to be PC, but
it's not PC.
So the game was stolen from its creator,
it was.
and then it was re-released.
Mm-hmm.
It was re-released, and then
he didn't get. I mean, he didn't get money for that game till 15 years after he created it, or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Number 6, 1988, Super Mario Brothers 3. What? I've never seen this game before. Yet that girl knew where the warp whistles were.
What? Oh, your friend who streamed?
No, the wizard.
Oh, the wizard. That's right. The wizard. I mean, leave it to Nintendo to use a movie to introduce their brand new game before it's released.
Great marketing.
Absolutely brilliant. But yes, here's a game you've never played before, and here's a little girl who knows all its secrets. Gotta love it.
Oh,
thank you, Nintendo. But Super Mario Brothers 3, though, I mean, hands down. I mean, at least on the NES, I mean, you could argue that was the best Super Mario Brothers
loved
game
it. Absolutely
on the
loved
NES.
it. My godson is enthralled with Super Mario Brothers 3. Him and his little brother.
It's so much fun. It's so colorful. They just did everything right with it.
It introduced the map world and the different boards, which you can technically kind of do not in order. So
yes.
Number 5, 1981's Donkey Kong.
Well, I know you can talk about this one because this is probably one of your favorite games of all time.
It's a classic. A few weeks ago, we did the crossover with Josh from Victims and Villains on his show, talking about King of Kong, Fistful of Quarters. I have on the 3DS an arcade port of Donkey Kong that has the Pi level on it that the home console does not have. It's just, you can't go wrong with Donkey Kong.
And again, another, this game has definitely permeated pop culture completely. It's everywhere. There are references to it everywhere, including a soon-to-be musical play.
That's right, based on King of Kong.
Based on King of Kong. There's King of Kong, the musical. Coming soon.
Can't even imagine.
Who knew? Who knew a giant ape and a plumber could do something?
Listen,
make history with his first girlfriend. He eventually tossed to the side.
Oh, that Pauline has seen better days.
Now, I told you she's in a trailer park with Stanley somewhere.
If they can make a Broadway musical of SpongeBob SquarePants, you can do a King of Kong: A Fistful of Quarters.
I agree with that completely.
Number 4, 1985's Super Mario Brothers.
Oh man, what's left to say about Super Mario Brothers? I mean, what
other
else
than
can
the
we
fact
say?
that he's actually about to die on the cover of the box.
That is true. He's jumping into a
lava.
wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is he jumping into lava? That's
He's
true.
jumping into lava. Yeah.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, that they would show him that way.
It was fun when I was doing what prompted me really to get the screen. After I switched up and was playing on the television, I again went through Super Mario Brothers. Again, it was just such a long time since I played without warps. Not only that, I didn't even do the shortcut warps, like through the level,
yeah.
Let alone jumping to a different world. It was fun playing it like that. I got to like 6-4, I think, World 6-4. But it was
Before
just
you died.
Yeah. But it was just so much fun because a lot of those boards I haven't played, like the quote unquote snow level.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love that level. So it was fun playing it like that.
Yeah, it's funny how easy you skip over all that stuff because
Honestly.
there are warps. Yeah.
Constantly going
Definitely
to
worth-
World 4 and then
definitely
World
worth-
8. Yeah.
Definitely worth playing without.
Number 3, a game I absolutely hate. 1983's Mario Brothers, the original Mario Brothers.
Why do you hate Mario Bros.
Because
so
the
much? It's
physics
such a good
in it
game.
is ridiculous. It's like you're playing on ice.
Yes, and that was the challenge of
I know.
the game.
That's why I hate it.
Well, shame on you. Without Mario Brothers, we may not have ever gotten Super Mario Brothers. So, we had to start somewhere.
And without Donkey Kong, we wouldn't have gotten Mario Brothers.
Well, that's very true. So, and without Mario Brothers, we may not have Luigi.
And without Luigi, we would not have had Luigi's Mansion.
That's right, and Luigi's Mansion was a great game. So, you should give respect to Mario Brothers because there would be no Luigi's Mansion without Mario Brothers.
But
there would also not be Mario is missing.
You beat me to
without
it.
Mario Brothers.
Number 2, 1980's Pac-Man.
So how do you feel about Pac-Man being ranked so high and Miss Pac-Man being way down there at number 25?
I see a lot of people here have Pac-Man fever. It's, you know what? Look, let's face facts. If it wasn't for Pac-Man, there wouldn't have been Ms. Pac-Man. So I get the love of Pac-Man. I can understand where it's coming from. The game took off like a rocket. And remember, there wasn't just Ms. Pac-Man. There was Super Pac-Man. There was Junior Pac-Man. I remember at Chuck E. Cheese in Brooklyn, right? Over at Caesar's Bay. I remember had like a hybrid, I think it was Pac-Man Jr. hybrid arcade pinball game. Do you remember this?
No.
I mean, look, we're going way back. Don't get me wrong, because Chuck E. Cheese hasn't been there forever. But I just remember, the back of the screen, the back of the arcade, back of the pinball machine was a regular arcade, which you played. I think you actually somehow played with the flippers.
Okay.
And then if you warp, I think if you go down on the screen, then the ball came out and it turned into a pinball.
That's awesome.
I do remember that. I don't remember what version. It wasn't Pac-Man or Ms. Pac-Man, I know that. But it was a weird version of it.
According to what I'm looking at, it was called Baby Pac-Man.
Baby Pac-Man. I knew it was something like Junior or something like that. Okay. Yeah, I remember that. Was such a weird one.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it was a pinball game and a video game combined. That's really interesting.
Yes, there it is. Yeah.
Came out in 1982 before Junior Pac-Man.
Oh, okay. Junior Pac-Man.
So basically you got it was just weird. You got Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and then I guess their offspring was Baby Pac-Man, which was this weird ass pinball thing.
And Junior Pac-Man was weird because Junior Pac-Man actually the board was like double.
Do you remember Professor Pac-Man?
I'm looking at it. I don't.
But the bottom line is, Pac-Man has managed to reinvent itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Over the years, infinitely. I remember the appeal of Pac-Man Championship Edition when it first came out on Xbox. And I was super addicted to that.
Yeah.
Also. So yes, Pac-Man, definitely one of the most monumental video games in all of history.
And finally, number 1 on the list, top 50 best classic video games at ranker.com.
Ranked by gamers.
Ranked by us, gamers. The 1998 Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Some people agree with me. It's lovely. Ocarina of Time, just like, I mean, it reinvented Zelda into, in 3D, but not only that, but it gave such a monumental story to an already iconic character or set of characters with Link, Zelda, and Ganon or Ganondorf. Yep. That I mean, you go back and play that. Like, if you ever go back and play that game, it's just unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable.
It's amazing. You're exactly right. The game is phenomenal.
So, I mean, to me, putting that number 1 for list of classic video games, to me, that I'm perfectly happy with that, because I can definitely argue that it belongs at the top of the list.
And that, folks, is the top 50 best classic video games on ranker.com.
Okay, so now that we've got the top 50 squared away, I know normally we end we usually end these podcasts with This Week in Gaming, but to be honest with you, I didn't want to do that this week.
Oh, okay, we're changing it up for the 50th episode.
Well, yeah, it's 50th episode. Plus, I don't want us to be uber predictable. Okay. So, but this week, I thought we would end on Retro Spotlight instead of This Week in Gaming, because there is a very, 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 very special spotlight we need to talk about, and that is there is a console celebrating a birthday today.
Oh, wow. All right, so it's kind of like This Week in Gaming, but
it's kind of like,
yes. I like
it. A little bit. So,
whose birthday is
so this week, it is the 34th anniversary or birthday of the original family computer, also known as the Famicom.
Wow, 34 years. Holy cow.
34 years ago, July 15th, 1983, the Famicom was introduced to consumers in Japan. And the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, that started it all. Well, not it all, but it started the return of video games, especially in the U.S. after that wicked video game crash.
Exactly. So I thought, what better way to end our 50th episode than to talk about one of the consoles that has probably been the most influential on our lives. Because without the Famicom, obviously, the NES wouldn't exist.
Yep.
And that's where most of us started in terms of home console gaming, or at least the two of us.
Yeah.
So this week's Retro Spotlight is on Japan's Famicom, or known as the Family Computer. So here we go. Developer and publisher of the Famicom obviously was Nintendo. Its release date, as I just previously said, was July 15th, 1983. On launch day, it only had 3 games.
Oh, wow.
Do you know, if you can guess, would you guess which games they were? Or at least one of them.
Well, 83, so
83.
I'm going to say Donkey Kong.
Okay.
I'm going to say some sort of obscure Japanese game.
Okay. That's what it's called. Obscure Japanese game.
It's like it should be on the top. It was ranked 51. I don't know. That's what I'm going. I can't think of what the third one is.
Okay. So launch games were Donkey Kong.
All right.
Donkey Kong Jr.
Oh, wow. So they got both of them out there at the same time.
Yep. And Popeye.
I had Popeye in the back of my head because we did a Retro Spotlight a few weeks ago, but I'm like, was it a release game or was it just released around the system? I was going to say Popeye, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so, those were the 3 games that debuted with the Famicom. Its original price was 14,800 yen, which, if you translate it, it's roughly $140.
Okay. Or probably back then was a little different.
Yeah, it was probably a little different. But 14, if you want to say like 150, maybe it was $150. Mm-hmm. But it was 14,800 yen when it was originally released. Okay, this was probably the coolest thing I found out about it. The Famicom was discontinued, like the end date of its production September 25th, 2003.
Really?
Yes.
Holy
so
cow.
They were creating Famicoms and games for the system in Japan for 20 years.
That's wild.
Yeah. It makes me want to go now and look at a list of Famicom games and look at games that came out that late in its run.
Like after 2000.
Yeah, I can't think of another console. I don't think there's another console that can lay claim to running that long.
Not officially.
Years.
Not officially.
No, definitely not officially. So 20 years this system was being done. Because you got to remember, like Super Famicom came out, N64 came out. So they had two other consoles on the market, but they were still making games for the original Famicom.
Wow.
During those runs.
Holy cow.
Yeah, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on. So the Famicom system, the code name for the project was Gamecom, but one of the higher ups there, his wife proposed changing the name to Famicom because she argued that the name Gamecom in Japanese is actually pronounced Pasokon, Pasokon, Pasokon,
okay.
And it means personal computer.
Oh.
And the guy's wife was basically saying, well, it's not a home or a personal computer, so let's call it a family computer. And that's what they wound up going with. They wound up going with Famicom. Now, the original plans for the Famicom were for the cartridges to be the size of a regular cassette tape.
Oh, my God.
So if you remember cassette tapes. But ultimately, they wound up making it into a cartridge because they needed I don't know if it looked better or whatever, but ultimately they decided on the cartridge look that they have, which, by the way, completely different from the North American and European cartridges for the NES.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm wondering if that's where they came up with the term cassette. Remember, like printed on the back of those says cassette.
True.
Video games. So I wonder if that's where it came from.
Well, it's entirely possible. Maybe the term cartridge wasn't used at the time.
That's what I'm saying.
Cassette,
that's true.
Yeah, what you're saying probably makes sense. So they were actually supposed to be cassette tapes. They became the cartridges that we all know. The controllers were hardwired to the console for the original Famicom. You remember? Now I own an original Famicom, and the controllers are hardwired. Not only they're
hardwired. Hold on. Not only they're hardwired to the back of the control of the system.
Of the system, right? Not even the front of it. It's
you
the
already
back.
lose a couple of inches.
Yep. And the reason why they were hardwired to the console was for cost reasons.
Okay, I can see that.
So the gamepad controllers were basic. So it was basically cheaper to do that than to install the ports to plug them into. Mm-hmm. So they just installed it directly onto the board. Yeah. The console, the board. The gamepad controllers were actually designed directly from the Game & Watch machines.
So I can see the similarity, yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, because the Game & Watch had the D-pad with two buttons. So they just basically took that, they removed the screen out of it, and they made the gamepads. They originally wanted to use an arcade-style joystick.
Really?
Yep, but they found that they were concerned in testing that kids would just break it.
Yeah.
So they went with the D-pad. I think that was a very smart move.
Oh, totally, absolutely.
And then the eject lever. You know how on the Famicom there's an actual eject button for the cartridge?
Yep.
You press down and then the cartridge pops up, because the Famicom is a top loader as opposed to the NES, because the NES you put the cartridge inside the machine, like side. So it's a front loader. So this was a top loader. However, the eject button was actually not necessary on the Famicom. It was because you can just pull the cartridge out. Mm-hmm. The only reason why they installed the eject lever is because they thought children would be entertained by pressing it.
Really?
Yeah, they thought they would have fun pressing it and popping out the cartridge. So, hindsight being 20/20, I would have argued having the controller ports instead of the eject button.
Yeah, honestly.
If that was the only reason why they installed it. The microphone that was added to the second controller of the Famicom, which was not done for the NES, but the second controller had a microphone on it, because the idea would be they thought it would be cool to have players' voices coming through the television speaker.
Oh, wow.
Because it would be like kind of a monumental thing. You can hear yourself through the TV. And that's why they put the microphone in. And then they obviously started using it in certain games, which was kind of cool. Legend of Zelda being one of them for the Famicom.
Yep.
So the when the Famicom was first released, though, in 1983, it took a while for it to gain momentum. In fact, Microsoft knows this story well, but little did we know that Nintendo had the same issue. But when the Famicom first hit the market, a bad chipset in it caused the system initially to crash.
Oh, no.
So they had to do a product recall on the Famicom and reissue it with a new motherboard.
Oh, my gosh.
And then once they did that, though, it became a much more popular system. And then by the end of 1984, it had become the best-selling game console in Japan. Okay. So we all know, obviously, the Famicom and the NES were known for their games and the amazing games that they had. The top 10 selling games for the Famicom system.
Okay.
I'm just going to flip through these really quickly. Top 10 were, starting from number 10, Pro Yaku Family Stadium.
Okay.
2 million copies sold.
Wow.
Number 9, Mahjong. 2.1 million copies sold. Number 8, Baseball. 2.35 million copies.
Okay.
Number 7, Dragon Quest 2, 2.4 million.
Wow.
Number 6, Golf, 2.46 million. Number 5, Super Mario Brothers 2, 2.65 million.
Their version of Super Mario Brothers 2.
Their version of Super Mario Brothers 2.
Okay.
Right. Number 4, Dragon Quest 4, 3.1 million copies.
Wow.
Number 3, Dragon Quest 3, 3.8 million.
They like their Dragon Quest.
They do. And they like their Super Mario Brothers. Number 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, 3.84 million.
Wow.
And the original Super Mario Brothers, 6.8 million copies sold.
Nice.
That is their top 10. Well, I mean, I don't know if it must have come with the system.
I'm sure. I mean, probably.
Yeah. I mean, it's like 3 million higher than any other game.
Yeah, it had to be a pack-in.
All right. Moving on. So, there were a lot of different things to talk about with the Famicom, so I'm just going to bounce around. So in December of 1993, a little over 10 years after the original Famicom release, they did a redesign of the console. So they did one. It was kind of like you know how the NES came out with the top loading NES. So they did another version of that, but they used the composite video output instead of the RF hook-in. So this was probably one of the first systems to ever use a composite video output. And the newer model was called the AV Famicom. It did not have microphones like it did on the original version. So you couldn't do certain things in games with that version. I think it also had it may have had plug-in controllers instead of attached controllers. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
But yeah, they had come out with a new version 10 years later. There was an issue with the original Famicom containing it didn't have any lockout for hardware. There was no lockout involved because in the NES, when the NES came out, they had something called a 10NES chip, which was installed to avoid people from making unlicensed games.
Yeah.
And that chip is the reason why when you put an NES cartridge in, you know how sometimes you'll turn on the system and it'll just blink red?
Yeah.
Yeah, it blinks red because the chip in the system, the 10NES chip, which is checking for licensed games.
Oh wow!
It's not reading your cartridge correctly, which is why it blinks red like that because it thinks it's an unlicensed cartridge.
Interesting.
That's the reason why you have to keep sticking the damn thing in because it needs to line up with that chip.
Oh wow!
So that it'll play the game.
Huh. Okay.
The original Famicom did not have that, so there were a lot of bootleg cartridges made throughout Japan and the Far East. Not to mention the fact that people were also, because it wasn't locked out, they were making bootleg consoles.
Really?
Out of the
I own
they
one.
were making. Well, no, that one's. Yeah, well, I mean that one
No,
may
I
be
know.
considered one of it. But one of the ones that I actually wound up finding, or the most popular the most popular ripped off console was called the Dendy console, and it was released in Russia. And it was around for a while. It looks like a Famicom, except instead of it being red and like that tan beige color, it's gray and white.
How boring.
I know. But it had but it basically it was a whole bootleg system that they created.
Interesting.
Complete with games and everything. So if you own a Dendy,
oh my God,
you have basically the Russian version of the Famicom. It sold for, and that console came out in 1992, sold for $94 or 39,000 rubles. They wound up selling almost 2 million consoles.
You don't play Famicom. Famicom plays you.
Exactly. So that was kind of interesting. That there was a bootleg.
That's very funny.
Bootleg Famicom in Russia, among other places. Okay, moving on. This is a piece of information you're gonna love.
Okay.
You're gonna absolutely love. There were different peripherals made for the Famicom system, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of them was called the Famicom 3D system.
Ooh.
Came out on October 21st, 1987.
Mm-hmm.
And it consisted of a pair of active shutter glasses and an adapter to connect them to the Famicom's third-player expansion port.
Wow.
And the glasses also connected to an adapter via a jack that allowed you to display a stereoscopic image similar to 3D.
Wow.
So you would be able to play games that would play in conventional 2D mode had a 3D mode when you activated it by pressing the select button. And if you had these active shutter glasses, you were able to see it in 3D. This was never released outside of Japan because it was a complete commercial failure. Now tell me if this sounds familiar, because it made gamers experience headaches and nausea.
That sounds like the Atari MindLink.
If this sounds familiar, Nintendo tried this many years later, about 8 or 9 years later, with a little system called the Virtual Boy, which was equally a commercial failure, mostly because you either didn't see the 3D or it made gamers experience headaches and nausea. Nintendo does not know how to let an idea die down. See, the Virtual Boy should have never existed. Proof positive, the Virtual Boy should have never existed because it failed in 1987 on the original Famicom.
They tried.
There were several specific 3D games that came out for the Famicom 3D system. Mm-hmm. There were 6 specifically. It was Attack Animal Gaikuen or Gakuen, Cosmic Epsilon, Falcion, sure. Famicom Grand Prix 2 3D Hot Rally.
There you go.
Highway Star, which was Rad Racer.
Oh wow, okay, that explains why Rad Racer has a 3D option on it.
Yes, because it was created for the Famicom 3D
but like
system.
with the regular old school 3D glasses.
Yep, and the last game, oh good lord, JJ Tobadasi Dasakusen Part 2.
I remember Part 1 very well.
Yes, Part 1 was excellent. Part 2 came out on 3D. So the Famicom 3D system was something that probably not many people knew about. I didn't know about it until I read up on the Famicom.
No, that's the first I've heard of that. It's interesting.
Yep. Did you also know?
Probably not.
That you did not. The Famicom also came out with the Famicom Computer Network System, also known as the Famicom Net System or the Famicom Modem.
Wow. In
September of 1988, it was only sold in Japan. It used a card-based format, similar to like the remember the NEC's PC Engine or the Sega card, where it had like a card slot.
Yep.
So it had a card slot, and it allowed the users to access a server that provided live stock trades for the trade market.
Okay.
Game cheats.
There you go.
Jokes.
As you would.
Weather forecasts.
As you need.
Downloadable content.
Wow.
And my personal favorite, horse betting.
Wow. How specific.
Yes. So it was
applesauce.
Yes, applesauce. It was discontinued in 2001, which means it was around for 13 years.
Good Lord.
So Nintendo wound up shipping a lifetime total of about 130,000 Famicom modems.
Okay.
And it peaked. Okay, let me see. Nintendo stated that the system's most popular application on it was the horse race betting system, with a peak of 100,000 units, capturing 35% of the online horse betting market.
Good Lord.
all from your little family computer,
Wow.
where your kids play video games.
I didn't even know they had horse betting over there. That is wild.
Yep. Okay, so but that's not all.
Oh, but wait,
Also,
there's more.
But wait, there's more. There was also on the Famicom what was called the Family Basic, which was an implementation of the computer programming language BASIC for the Famicom.
Mm-hmm.
It came on the Famicom. It was packaged with a keyboard. So similar to the Atari 2600 BASIC cartridge, it allowed the user to program their own games, which can then be saved on a cassette recorder.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would just play your own games.
Good. This system was way ahead of its time.
Absolutely. Famicom Basic, again, was not released in the U.S. because they didn't think it fit their primary marketing demographic, because the NES was released for kids.
Huh.
So they didn't think releasing Family Basic would make sense.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Can you imagine kids doing Family Basic?
Oh, forget about it.
Yep. Moving on.
What else you got?
Well, I'm going to finish off with this.
Oh, okay.
The last thing about the Famicom was probably the more well-known attachment, even though we did not have it in the U.S., which was known as the Family Computer Disk System, the Famicom Disk System, which was an attachment. You would plug it in underneath the Famicom.
Oh, okay.
And it ran games off of the little floppy disks, like the little hard floppy disks.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They called them disk cards at the time. It sold, and again, the production span for the disk system was 1986 to 2003.
Man,
so they were
this thing got
creating
some legs.
for 17 years. They sold over 4.4 million units of the disk system. And some of the most, or at least the launch titles for it, were baseball, golf, mahjong, soccer, Super Mario Brothers, tennis, and The Legend of Zelda. And for those of you who don't know, we've talked about this a few times, but the only way you could play The Legend of Zelda 2 Link's
Adventures of Link.
Thank you. Adventures of Link. Legend of Zelda 2, Adventures of Link, and the original Super Mario Brothers 2, not the one that we got here in the US, but the Japanese Super Mario Brothers 2. The only way you could play those games was if you owned the Famicom disk system, because they only existed on those disc cards.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, and the Famicom disk system will be my next purchase at Super Potato.
That'd be awesome. Yes.
That is my goal for the next
really?
trip to Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I'm not looking up games to buy or anything like that. I'm walking in, I'm buying the disc system and walking out.
Do you have some disc games right now?
Yeah, I do. I have Super Mario Brothers 2 and Zelda 2.
Oh, there you go. All righty.
On this system. So I've got two. Maybe I'll look around and pick up a couple more games for that. But that's about it. That's my next goal while I'm in Japan.
Wow.
But happy birthday,
yes,
Nintendo's Famicom. 34 years in the making, 20 years on the market.
Honestly.
Just absolutely astounding. The video game industry would not be anywhere without this.
No, it really wouldn't. So, like you said, definitely happy birthday, Famicom, and happy 50th episode to us.
Yeah, we made it to 50.
We did it.
We're never going to. Well, are we ever going to see 100? Do you think we'll make it to 100?
I didn't think I'd make it to 50 in any way, shape, or form. So
I didn't think we make it to 5 after 2014.
But let's shoot for 100. But I want to say, Anthony, I know you're with me with this. We want to thank everyone who listens each and every week to the Retro Gamers, and almost 400 followers, 400 likes on the Facebook page. We couldn't do it without you. We appreciate your support. You share the streams, you share the podcasts on iTunes, on Spreaker, on YouTube, now on iHeartRadio.
We are everywhere.
We are. I want to throw it out to Josh over at Victims and Villains, not just Josh, but everyone at Victims and Villains, at Nerd Herder, at Super Retro Game Time. These are groups that definitely help out me and Ant with sharing the podcast, sharing the streams.
Yes, they do. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's this kind of pod brotherhood that we have happening, but definitely with the fans. And we hope to see you at the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo. Come on out. We're going to be doing the broadcast from there. We'd like to meet you. But in the meantime, keep circulating the Facebook page, the website, theretrogamers.com, our Instagram page, _retrogamers, and hit that subscribe button everywhere so you get each and every new episode. We're here for at least another 50, if not many more.
I'll be dead by then.
Oh man, I hope not. And with that,
I will. This has been an excellent ride. I'm definitely looking forward to continuing it. Because let's face it, I mean, we'll never run out of retro games because the longer we go, the more systems become retro.
This is very true. When we start talking about 360s, you know we've gone on way too long.
Oh, that's true. So but until we jump the shark, let's keep going.
You got it. Folks, we'll catch you next week. Ant, enjoy Japan. I guess we'll hear about that next week. And
you will hear all about it next week again.
Definitely. We'll catch you guys later. Thank you, everyone, from us here at the Retro Gamers.